Greetings and salutations, all my people out there in internet land. My name is William Honolulu Jr., and I have the privilege, nay, the honor of serving as the host of the BlackUSA.news morning show. We're going to have a good time today on this Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022. Happy second day of Women's History Month. And today is also World Teen Mental Wellness Day and also Ash Wednesday for my Christians out there. Well, those aren't the same days, but we happen to be celebrating them at the same time today. For those of you all who are of the Christian faith, happy Ash Wednesday. And for those of you all who have a teen in your life or know of teens or really just care about people, let's celebrate World Teen Mental Wellness Day. All right, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to talk about today because, today we're still continuing with our month of Black women. Yesterday, we talked to Kiara Bulware, and she really dropped some jewels about how she used writing as a healing tool to really help her escape her pain and figure out how to bring the broken pieces of herself together. So that was a really incredible conversation. Near the end, we had some technical difficulties, but we're going to check that out and make sure that we can clean it up as best we can, because there was some real positive stuff that was going down there. As always, big up to the super producer, Crazy Horse Morgan, making sure that we stay up on the latest, greatest, and making sure that we have the resources necessary to bring you the type of show that you deserve. But another group of people to do that is our sponsors. So let's go ahead and talk about them. You all know how I feel about edible arrangements. We start with them today. They provide some of the best fruit and chocolate and candy covered goodness that you can find. Their food is consistently good. Their service is amazing, and you can even get it door dashed. So if you find yourself in a position where you want to celebrate, you just want some really good fruit, make sure you stop by Edible Arrangements either in Govins or Randallstown. Govins is in Baltimore. I know I said that a couple of times, and people are like, where's Govins? No, Govins is in Baltimore, over by York Road, and they also have a location in Pittsburgh. And remember, they do DoorDash. I'm gonna show you. Look what it looks like when it gets to your house. Look what it looks like. Oh, but also we're going to talk about Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy every day. I tell you all that Judge Murphy has been supporting causes in Black communities and making sure that we had stellar advocacy. And he is still doing that in his firm, Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy. A few years ago, even before COVID, they brought Ta-Nehisi Coates to Maryland, to Baltimore, to really talk about reparations and some of his new work. And, they did that. And those are the types of people that you work with at Murphy, Falcone, and Murphy, not just the people because they want to be in the community, make a buck. They really do care about what happens in the community. So give them a call. But if you find yourself dealing with some criminal justice issues, law enforcement may have locked you up. You may want to get the warrior lawyer, J. Wendell Gordon. They don't just call him the warrior lawyer because it rhymes and, it's a really good marketing tool. They call him the warrior lawyer because he fights for his clients. And you can just Google him and you will be able to see he is everything that I'm telling you about. So if you have a criminal issue, make sure you give the warrior lawyer a call so he can help you. Now, we want to say a big thank you and shout out to Dr. Tyrone Taborn and the whole team over at STEM City, the Black Engineer of the Year Awards. We had a great time with Marsha Jews. I got to sit down with her one day. It was early in the morning, but it went really well, and that's streaming. So we're going to see if we can get some of that out to you. But I know exactly where you can see it right now if you wanted to. STEMCityUSA.com. Go ahead and visit, and you can take a look and see all of the wonderful content that they have, and make sure that you don't get left behind. So, Dr. Tyrone Taborn, thank you very much. Darker Than Blue Grill. Like I told you all, I don't know when the next time I'm going to be able to get there, but I am very excited about it. I absolutely am. I'm thinking I'm still good on the hamburger. I think that's still what I'm gonna get. I know the salmon is good and the cowboy prime rib. You all were absolutely right about that. But I'm feeling hamburger. Like I'm gonna go a little classic or something like that. So I'm looking forward to the next opportunity I can get to go to the Darker Than Blue Grill, um, and just enjoy a good burger. So, yay, if you're in Baltimore and you're hungry, make sure you stop by Darker Than Blue Grill. They not only serve amazing food, but they're really great partners in the community. My company, The Grinding Gang, we help you take your business to the next level. There's a lot of information out there, and we help you cut through it. You get an article from Forbes that says this, and then you get an article from The Economist that says that. What do you know? Which way should you go, and how does any of that information fit into your business goals? Well, that's what we're here to do at the Grinding Gang. So give us a call. We have a lot of free resources that can really help you step your business up and take it to the next level. And last but certainly not least, our newest sponsor, the book I Am Black Wall Street by Donnie Glover. Donnie has taken this scholarship in a different direction. I'd seen a lot of pieces about, how what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, how it was destroyed, how they rebuild, and those types of things. But Donnie takes a different look at it, a different approach. He starts in the beginning. How did they get to Tulsa, Oklahoma? And by taking an examination of the progress toward making it to Tulsa, Oklahoma, I got to be honest, parts of the book read like a blueprint of what we can do now. So if you have not gotten a copy of I Am Black Wall Street by Donnie Glover, please make sure you go and cop that. You can get it at BlackUSA.news, Amazon, and other books. And again, big shout out to Ashley Tate, who is a recipient of a Black Wall Street Award. Whoop, 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 whoop. I told you, yo, we know good people. And we are so proud of Ashley. She does amazing work on a regular basis. So, um, big shout out to Land of Kush. It's a vegan restaurant in Baltimore. They are also partners with the Maryland Vegetarian Society or Vegan Society. They normally have Vegan Soul Fest every year, but with COVID and public health concerns, they haven't had in a couple years. But I do believe that life is better with bacon, but I do enjoy the Vegan Soul Fest, and the food is actually really good. Now I got to be honest, I was surprised by that. I come from a long line of pork eaters, and the idea that you would just have food with just plant, very creepy. But it was wonderful, and so I got to give them a big shout out to Land of Kush for opening my eyes. So yeah, today, today, I tell you, I know dope people, but I'm gonna try to be as professional as possible with this because this is one of my really good friends, and she's going to help me share with my goddaughters what it's like to be a Black woman. As you all know, this is our month of Black women, and it serves as a love letter to my goddaughters. Let me let you see it.
Dear Shanae and Simone, as you move through life as Black women, you will have a very unique experience. In many cases, you will be asked or expected to serve in roles that weren't clearly explained, nor did you really agree to. Over the course of my life, I have met some amazing women who have navigated some of the spaces that you will encounter. I want my village to share with you their stories of trials and successes to help provide a foundation to understand your power to choose the woman that you will become and the strength that you can find in your sisters. This series of shows is my gift to you. The women you will hear from are phenomenal. They come from different backgrounds and have chosen different paths for their lives. Each represents a facet of the Black woman experience. Some of the stories may not align with your journey directly, but those stories are even more important. By listening closely, you can learn about uncommon experiences and find ways to support your sisters along your shared journey. I love you all so much, and I hope to see you soon.
Okay, so that's what the morning show month of Black women really is. That is the opportunity that I'm taking with this show to give a love letter, I guess, to my goddaughters. Like I said, their experience is going to be unique, and I want to make sure that they at least have some models or some information and knowledge of what to expect. And today, I get to bring to the table what I tell y'all before. I told y'all I know dope folk, didn't I? Yeah, like every show I tell you that. Today is no different. Today I have an opportunity to bring to you one of my closest friends, and you'll probably notice a theme a lot during this month. Because these women have been my friends through some of the roughest times in my life and theirs. And I know them and they are amazing. And today is no different. One of my good friends, Stephanie Jerger, who happens to be the biggity uppity up muckety muck at the Organic Trade Association. But what's more important to me is that she is the person that has supported dozens of organizations throughout North America, real talk, and helping them build bridges. She's been working with people for Black organic engagement and Black urban farming. Um, she's been feeding the homeless under bridges, like literally under bridges, going to feed the homeless. So I get an opportunity to introduce you to my friend. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? There you go. Yay, Stephanie.
Hello, William.
How are you doing?
I am very well. I'm so honored to be on your show.
Oh, absolutely. You know, it's only a matter of time. I
It
hell,
was. It was. I knew
yeah,
it was coming. I was
yeah,
ready.
it was coming. But I can't think of a better way to introduce you to the audience than through our month of Black women. We're gonna start it off like we start everybody's interview off this month. If an alien came to you, I didn't say alien to Kiara, but you get alien now because I'm more mature. I've done this longer. So if an alien showed up and said, "Hey, you're one of those Black women I've been hearing about. What is that about? What is that like to be a Black woman?" Because they don't really know what that's Black women is thing. So they don't know. So they want you to explain it to them. What would you tell them?
Uh, well, hello, Mr. Alien. Um, being a Black woman is being a walking contradiction. Um,
Hmm.
we are the flower and the thorn. We are, the enemy of the state and its savior.
Hmm.
Constantly having to be both the scapegoat and and the reason to uplift anything, and we literally carry the endeavors and the benefit and the good of others on our backs all the time. There is a very old saying in the South: when in doubt, follow Black women, because
Wow.
we take everyone with us, but we're constantly
Hmm.
behind. So that's what it feels like being a
This
Black.
was it. Like, okay, wow, that's that okay. I was not anticipating that. So okay, I'm scrambling a little bit. So tell me about those roles that it sounds like you find yourself in, where on the one hand you are, hey, I need you to come and do this and make it okay, and at the same time, like, how did you miss that one thing? You suck. You aren't worthy of this job. How do you navigate that kind of space?
Um, Unfortunately, as a Black woman, you get used to it out in the
Mm,
out in the world. But when Black women gather together, it's a safe space for us. So we find each other to lift each other up. It's not at all something odd for Black women to be out in public spaces and to just publicly praise each other for their outfit, their hair, or anything, because we all know that we all need it. So it's a common practice, and that's kind of, I think, where we find our strength, there's always, the group and the nestling into Black men who comfort us and
Mm-hmm.
for us, but that's not always the case. We do really tend to lend that help to each other, uh,
Mm-hmm.
in spite of whatever angry Black woman depiction there is. It's not the actual case. In most cases we're pretty uplifting of each other, and so I think that is really what helps sustain us. We've built a network of our own, a sisterhood of our own. It is sometimes even unspoken. It is not,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing, there's nothing like being the only other Black woman in a place and being and having a nod and knowing that now we're in this room together. It feels very, very comforting in those spaces when we find each other, when we see each other. And I think that's how we navigate it. I think we understand what it's going to be, how we're depicted in the larger world, and we figure out a way to navigate it, and usually to our benefit. Because we truly can go places that Black men cannot go, because even though we're angry, they're still more terrified of Black men for whatever reason. So when we go, again, we take Black men with us.
Okay. So it sounds like a lot of the role and the definition for you of being a Black woman, being a Black woman, is the service that you provide to others. Because I've noticed during this entire time you've been talking about what it's like to be a Black woman and how you navigate these spaces. Very seldom have you mentioned anything about you. It has
Yeah.
always been about the nature of the relationship or the nature of the engagement or the responsibility you have. Talk a little bit about that.
That's kind of the ism, the chasm that Black women find themselves in. We have to shapeshift all the time because
Mm-hmm.
we have to constantly be something to someone else at all times. And we do find ourselves falling short of being something to ourselves a lot. So again, it's really good for us to lift each other up in those spaces so that we can remind each other that we can take a break, we can take a rest, because no matter how much corporate America or society says bring your whole self, they do not want Black women's whole self.
Please add family and intimate relationship partners
Yeah,
as well.
everyone
We're
says
going to
bring your
talk
whole
about it.
self.
Oh,
No
so
one.
okay. So the rule on the show is different than our rule as friends, because on the show, it's we don't keep it 100 here. We keep it 85, 15% they don't need to know about. So, but we do talk about real stuff because
Mhm.
these are things that my goddaughters are going to face. Now, I've heard a lot of Black women in situations where I had one friend who's like, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I was like, why? Well, because my kids need this or that. And I'm like, yeah, but they knew it. They engaged in this behavior. These are the consequences. But somehow the expectation is still that you're going to come and find a way to magically clean it up. I mean,
Yeah.
I know that you have worked with enough people, and I have seen this, not necessarily in your family, but I have seen this in the community.
Mhm.
I've seen this where they're like, oh, Stephanie, yeah, blah, blah, blah. She's so right. She's so smart. We're not going to listen to her. But Stephanie, could you do me a favor? Oh, man. I remember you told me that, but I forgot. So can you help me now that I've made a mess of this whole thing? Clean
Yeah.
it up and make it. And then if you don't clean it up well, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stephanie. You couldn't get it all the way right. So, but how does that work? Like, why? Because from a guy's perspective, it's like, oh, to hell if you did. Like, congratulations, you want something. You're not going to get it. Amen. Move on.
Yeah.
But that's not what my female friends say. They have to. Well, who I have to? It's my family. It's my children. It's my mother. It's my husband. Like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it doesn't work, and it takes a lot of just self evaluation to be able to detach from that requirement for yourself. I have found it a little easier than a lot of other Black women, because I can say, your lack of planning is not my problem, in the most polite way. And I certainly try to prepare people as best I can, but I have decided to not waste energy and time on people who will not listen or will not comply based on experience. But that takes a lot of learning. It takes a lot of
Um,
evaluation. That is like practiced behavior,
okay.
intentional behavior, because Black women do not do that easily. That is for sure.
So let's talk about how you develop these kind of boundaries. Amma Brown, she was on the show a few weeks ago, and one of the things she said, which I thought was magical, she was like, boundaries are sacred
Yep.
and they have to be treated as sacred. And she says, like, in the example she used was like, if you take a cell, it has a cell wall, it's a boundary. The more stuff that can just move in and out of the cell wall, the quicker the cell is likely to die.
Yep.
And when she said that, I was like, so you can check the tape. I told her I was going to be using it again on the show, and she said it was okay. So I don't want nobody to be like, you copyright infringing, blah blah blah. But I appreciate the fact that you said that the boundaries and the ability to manage those boundaries were something that was learned. So can we talk real quick about one? Was it incremental, or was it one day you just like, damn it? And two, how did that learning process go? Because it's just like, I'm assuming it's like algebra. First day they tell you X and Y, you're not doing like calculus. It's like you got to keep playing with it a little bit to figure out what to add to both sides.
Yeah, I can only speak for me, but I will say I have been, I guess, a problematic Black woman, Black girl my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have drawn those boundaries very early, not understanding that I was drawing boundaries. Just I recognized really young that when people were telling me to do something that was clearly not working for them and didn't make me feel good or feel happy or give me anything, I was not going to do it. Again, that makes you a black sheep, makes you an outcast. It makes you disrespectful. I grew up in the South. I was honored.
Oh, yeah, that gets you popped in the lips.
I've gotten popped in the lip. I don't care. I'm gonna take it. I'm not doing it like that. But that was learned, and the older I got, the more I trusted my own instinct and myself. I think that is something that Black girls, I'll start with young girls. They're taught a lot to not trust themselves. Trust what I'm telling you, trust what the world tells you, trust what that book told you, and not trust yourself. And they develop so many conflicting, characteristics and self-esteem issues and self-worth issues because they're taught to not trust themselves. And that was always very problematic for me. Just one example, I have always been a scholar. I'll give myself that, but I've never understood the dynamic of education in a classroom. So for me, if I'm going to do something for you, then you should be doing something for me, or I should get something from it. I could never understand why I needed to tell the teacher in class or verbally or, raise my hand or go to the board and tell her something that she knew I knew. I took your test. I passed it. Why do you keep calling me? I don't get anything extra for showing you how smart I am. So I'm not going to. And that was always a big problem. And I never understood it. And that followed me all the way through college. I graduated summa cum laude from Florida A&M University. And
big up Florida A&M. Big up Florida A&M.
Big up FAMU. And when my pinning ceremony was there, I went to the pinning ceremony, and I did go to that, even though I didn't go to graduation because, again, I'm not interested.
I'm done with this. Why am I going to?
Why am I going? Yeah, I did it. I don't have to do it.
Sit in your auditorium and watch you tell me, call my name for a couple seconds and walk across stage.
That's always been my attitude. Like, I've done it. What else do you want from me? So for me, I went to the pinning ceremony, and a professor of mine, when he did the pinning, it was a history department head or whatever. And I had taken 2 classes from this man. Got an A's in both. I did well in both because I sat in there, I did my work. And when he pinned me, he said, I didn't even know who you were. I didn't even know what you looked like. You never seen me. I've never come to you. You never came to me after class. You never had a question. You never sent me an email. I did not even know who you were, but I knew your name because you had some of the highest scores in one of my classes. I said, oh, okay, thank you. But my aunt who was there, she was like, how do you get through a whole, years with this man? I said, easy. He gave the work. I did the work and I left. And I'll tell you, I will admit, I squandered a bunch of my university experience because of that attitude.
Wait, when you say squander, what do you mean squander?
Like I didn't immerse myself in college. I went to college. I did the work.
It was a job.
It was my job. I did the job and I left. But that kind of task orientation has really served me in other places because it allows me to collaborate well, work with people well, because I can separate the thing from the person. I don't care who you are. I can get anything done with anyone.
Because you're task oriented. And the question doesn't become, are we cool or do I like you? It's can you do the task that I need you to?
I do not care.
And not bother me.
I don't care who you are. Can we do this? Yes. Can I find a way to get you to where I need? Yes. Can I get to a deal? As part of my lobbying and negotiation skills, I can get to a medium. I can get to, an agreement. I don't care who you are. And so that's one of the things that I think has served me well. So for me, it started very early, but I did not understand what I was training myself to do until, I got older and realized, you know what, I am doing this the right way, just because I found myself not as guilt tripped by, not going home as often to my family. I'm like, I don't have money to continue to come home to you all. I'm in Baltimore, you all are in Florida. I'm not coming. Like, I don't feel that at all. Like, I'm making better decisions for myself. And I found that when you make better decisions for yourself, some people don't like it. Your family, your friends, your spouses, your employers. But I usually do that. And I think, again, that's just something that was innate, but I trained it better so that it paid off more. But Black girls are not taught that. They are taught to trust other people and not themselves. And I'll say, when you're a young girl, especially for me in the South in the 80s or when I was growing up, it always felt to me like that pressure and that, kind of devaluing of my own thoughts and my own processes were put upon me by Black women. Again, a walking contradiction. It's a constant thing.
So one of the things that I have a working theory, not about Black people in general. Mm-hmm. And the working theory is that we, many of the things that we have been taught because they actually work for survival. They
not
actually
thriving.
do.
Can't thrive in survival mode.
And so, like, I remember, and I told the story to the audience a few times, when I got into law school, I called my mom and was like, hey, got into law school. And she was like, that is awesome. But what you might want to think about is getting a job at the Washington Suburban Sanitation Commission as a supervisor, because your aunt works there and she can get you a job. Work there for a couple years, get your benefits, because you have a family now and you have to make sure that you have stability. Now, there's nothing that I think that my mother thinks that I am anything less than the smartest person that she's met. And she's right, except for, my ex-wife and my youngest son. But aside from them, I am the smartest person. And that's for LJ too. Okay. All right. We depending on the subject, we might switch third and fourth place, but there's a couple of them I come in third. But the sorry, I get excited about that. What was I saying again?
I don't know. Diddy's pretty exciting, so I get it. You were talking about how your mom wanted you to get a sanitation job.
Oh, yes. And so what? Thank you. See, look at you keeping me in line already, producing while you ain't supposed to be. And so what it is that it wasn't that she thought that I wasn't great. She thought that this is safe. She was actually genuinely trying to help, and I think a lot of that is still echoed through. And I just want to get your opinion on in one particular place. I think a lot of the emphasis on relationship is still an anchor point from the disenfranchised of women in the previous century and the century before. Because a woman had no social standing by herself. She couldn't help. She couldn't even own property until the 70s or 80s. In America, by the way. So by the way, when we're talking about how long ago these movements are, 70s, 80s.
Not long.
So they couldn't own it. And so what in my mind, the story in my head, is that a lot of these women are like, hey, you can't be out here without a man. So I am going to teach you how to do that, how to keep him happy, because this is the power exchange. His happiness for the social and professional and financial covering. That was the mutuality of that exchange. And what ended up happening, again, story in my head, I could be way off, because I spend a lot of time by myself and it's, it makes me think strange. But the way that I see it is that those safety protocols, because that's safety. You can't be out here, girl, by yourself. You better not be around no boys this late. You don't want to be one of those kind of girls, because they recognize that the social control was giving into the social control was a woman's value. And so as our history has transitioned and we have many more women who actually, can actually have stuff on their own and have become captains of industry, those lessons are still taught the same way that, we still teach people, I can't even think of, Pledge of Allegiance. How helpful has that been lately? But you see what I'm saying? So that what it is Does it sound like just some theory? Because I'm good for making something up. Does that sound like I just kind of made it up, or is there some anchor in your experience for something like that?
No, it's absolutely anchored, and those things are still being taught because, like you said, that wasn't that long ago, and those generations are very much still around. So that idea has not gone very, very far. And for people like me who have always been like the opposite of whatever that was taught, because for me, as I was being told those very same things, you know, find a man when you get to FAMU. That was the goal. That was the goal. I should go.
Wait. So we gonna draw some lines right here, because see, this is the cool part about me knowing some of the other story. Okay, so if I remember the story correctly, while you did have that pressure to find a man and all of those things, if I remember, you had a very strong, like, girl, you don't need no man in some of the women who are closest to you. Or am I mixing your story up with somebody else?
No, I did. I had that. I had a family full of single, very empowered Black women. So I had a very different dynamic, and I had a different, I had a different slate of people that I could pull from, because the women in my family were not married. They owned all their property. They all had degrees. I am not like some. I'm not a first generation Rattler at all. I'm third. I'm third generation Rattler. And my mother, that's my father's side, and my mother is a second generation Seminole from Florida State. So I grew up in a family where all the women owned all their stuff, did all their things, and all had a life that existed outside of getting a man. So I was taught that, but I wasn't taught that. Like, I heard that in society. Society taught me that, but my family was not, was not putting that on me. But what they did put on me was the safety. They were very concerned about security. I've always been a free spirit. What I was told was I don't have a healthy fear. That's what I was told. I don't have a healthy fear.
I could see somebody saying that to you.
Yeah, you don't have a healthy fear of things like being, leaving Tallahassee, Florida, and leaving the opportunity to work at Florida A&M, like my aunt had for 30 years. I could walk in the door and do it, no problem. Or I could walk and get on city council in Tallahassee. Could have done it in a minute. I'm political science grad. So I had no problem doing that. I was like, no, I'm leaving. Done. They were like, no, you don't know anybody. You can just come back home. You don't have to do that. You don't leave the safety of your safe state job. And I was like, I'm all right. I'm gonna just leave. I'm gonna go to Baltimore, where I know no one, and just start over.
You really did. I thought you were lying when I first met you. I thought you're like, oh, I just moved up here. I'm like, oh, for work? Like, no, because I saw Baltimore and I was like, I should live there. I was like, for school? Like, no, I graduated. For you in a relationship?
No, did not know one human here. I got into grad school at Temple University in Baltimore. And Dr. Asante at Temple, who's over the history program there, told me, go to Morgan. My wife is down there. My son, go to Morgan. It's the same program, and it'll be cheap. I said, gone. That's what I did. So I didn't have any safety net here. But for me, and I've said it before, I am not concerned. I'm not concerned about the branch, because I'm a bird. I trust my wings. I jump and wings apply. They just appear all the time.
You are your own safety net.
I am my safety net. Like, I'm the safety net. I'm the plan. I'm the table. I'm playing A, B, C, and D.
So one of the things that I have to give you is your ability to create these relationships, and it seems like it comes really easy for you. Talk about what that's like, because you walk in a room and every Stephanie, by the time he's like, oh my God, I love Stephanie. Did you met that? Oh, you know Jerger. Oh my God, I love Jerger. Everybody, wait. Big ups to Sharia Lovelace, because whenever I bring up your name, she's like, oh, Stephanie with boobs like Jerger.
Listen. It is a very different dynamic, and Baltimore is, it's its own place. And I'm from the South, so I'm very Southern in my hospitality and my greeting and my respect and, just comfort with people. So I don't have a problem being, I'm very introverted, but, I whatever room I walk in, I'm going to take over that. That's the room I'm in. That's my room now. And Baltimore is its own very, cliquish groups of people, and you have to navigate this group to
Mm-hmm.
navigate Baltimore. And today, there are many people who don't remember that I'm not from here, that I don't know any of y'all. I didn't go to. They'll tell me, "Yo, Stephanie, you remember when? Because we did it at Western. I did not go there. You don't They're like,
Right.
no, you went to Northern, right? No, you don't. You don't know me. I was not here. No, you remember when we went to Hammer Jacks? No, never saw.
No.
I am
Yeah.
not from here. So it's a constant reminder. But it was a doing of mine. It was very intentional.
Mm-hmm.
I came here, I knew I would know no one, but I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't worried about getting a job. I knew I can get a job anywhere. So that wasn't a problem for me. I was going to grad school. I knew I would meet some people at some point.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't a problem. But when I realized that I needed to find my tribe here, I began to look
Mm-hmm.
at very usual places. And for me, I'd always done
Ooh,
community work, even in Tallahassee, because I
okay.
worked for Habitat for Humanity there. So I was like, okay, well, that was the national at the time in 2000, I guess 6 or 7. That was Delta Sigma Theta's national charity. So I
Okay.
was with several Deltas. So I knew I would come here and I could find them because I would be able, because they're going to check on me at FAMU and I
Absolutely.
so I find them. And then I grew up in a church where my pastor was the president of the Urban League for
Uh-huh.
30 years. So I said, okay, let me find them.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went around and basically found my tribe. And that is how I was able to navigate, because you really had to know somebody. So many times I needed to know somebody. And I'll tell you, the first person that I was able to really start to find was Brian Oles from
Brian O's big up
Brian Oles.
Brian O's.
Brian Oles he was at Morgan. He was going to Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know him, but he came up as a suggestion on Facebook for me.
Yeah.
Just because he was at Morgan, and I didn't know anyone else in Baltimore, so I
Mm-hmm.
followed him. And then I followed everything he followed, and then I went to everything he did. So I joined Toastmasters. I joined the Urban League. I found BPM. I was like, I'm just gonna go everywhere he went, and it paid off because I was like, this guy seems like my tribe, and he was. And I tell that
Yeah.
story all the time, and he and I laugh about it because he was like, I didn't even know you. You didn't. I just followed you everywhere, and now we're good friends. But it led to so many other things. When I went to one meeting at the Urban League with young professionals. I went to one meeting and then I emailed the president, then Eric White, and said, "You have a fundraising position open. I want that." And he was like, "Okay,
Okay.
nobody else wants it." I was like, "I can do that. I can ask people for money, no problem." And that became another thing. And from there, the outgoing communications director was Will Holmes, and he said, "Here, we'll get with Will Holmes so you can get with BPM and him and Hassan." And I said, "Okay." Will Holmes, Eric said I should talk to you because you're gonna help me. He was like, "All right." And it really became, I had credit where somebody would say, "You know her?" They're like, "Oh yeah, she knows Will. Yeah, she knows Eric. Yeah, she's with the Urban League. Yeah, she's with this." And it's still today a thing where people are contacting me to vouch for people who are like Baltimoreans. I'm like, yeah, I know them. I work with them, that kind of thing. So that is how I navigated it. But it was partly, being a Black woman and finding my circle, but also just the nature of the way that I network. I find a way to connect with just about anybody. I mean, literally just about anybody.
So, okay, I was going to give you a chance to come up with this one on your own, but you're not really working with me here, so I'm just going to jump ahead. One of the things that I have seen you do, and actually I'll talk about just my experience with you. Mm-hmm. You engage from a point of legitimate and genuine service first. And I think it is that authenticity about, like, I'm not here trying to hustle you out of no money. I'm trying to get to know you. And guess what? Mm-hmm. If I get to know you and decide you have value, will be cool. If I get to know you and decide you know, that's cool too. Yeah. But it is you always start with service, not the commodity of the transaction. And I think that's a bigger deal than I think you may give it credit.
I think you're right, because that's one thing that I have been asked before about is how I network, and it is literally authenticity. Because what I do is I connect with people in a way where I can store them, right? I can store them in their value. I may not talk to Sharia Lovelace, all year long. But if someone comes up and said, "Oh, I'm looking for a virtual assistant," or "I have this chef, I have this idea," that I'm like, "Wait, I know somebody," and I make connections. I have become I've been called the plug, and I'm like, I don't know how I became that, but I definitely connect people because I'm always trying to elevate somebody. And I think that's one of the things that someone said about me one time. They were like, I'll just follow. If Stephanie's doing it, I'll do it. Because if I'm not going to get something good from it, I'm going to meet something good, someone good from it. So it's going to be something good. And I think that's kind of how I tend to, I do that. That's how I serve. Like, I'm not going to do something that is adverse. I'm not going to bring anybody else with me if I so that's just not going to be the case. If I bring you along, it is because it is for some good, some service, some purpose, some elevation of yourself. And I'm always happy to elevate other people constantly. I don't have any problem doing that. And I really am a connector of other people. And I learned that by watching you all. I learned it by watching people who I watched network and connect in the city, and I understood how it works. And I'm like, I can do that. And it's not hard because the people that I'm connecting with are amazing people. And sometimes the people just don't always they're not able to connect with each other. Just like in my professional life, the people that I'm working with in my, vocation, the job that pays me, my community work intersects all the time. So I am the point of intersectionality for them all the time. It's a constant thing. The people who are growing farms, growing literal food in the middle of Pulaski off North Avenue, they're not doing it for fun. They're doing it because they want food that is pesticide free, fresh food without hormones for their families to supplement, to not have to pay the retail prices or grocery stores, to sell for themselves. And that's exactly what I work every day to tell people what organic is. That's what it means. And so, if there's strength in numbers and power, in words, then math is math. Like, you need to get more people saying what you say and doing what you do. That's how allyship is made. And that's what I try to do across the board in the community, for work. And so I think that's what made me an asset in so many places.
So I think also, again, because I know parts of the story, I want you to talk about how you navigate through this guilt space. Because one of the things that you said, and it's very clear, and so let me also be clear. This is exactly who she is, except this is a lot more professional because, she got a big muckety muck job. So, but did you notice I'm letting you go ahead and do that? Because I'm like, I heard Crazy Horse and he said on the show. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm going too far now. Sorry. Back to the show notes. Yeah. So, so there's a lot of people that I talk to who, like I told you about my friend, I have to. My mom needs it. I have to. And I've known you for years. And if you only do the have tos, if you've literally already said, I will. So how do you navigate on not getting caught up into other people's like, oh man, I can't believe you're leaving. Like, oh, and not have that be predominant in your decision making?
You know what? That's an easy question. Is when I decide that I'm not going to do anything else, it's because I've done all that I can. I've expended all that I can give. I've reached whatever limit that I can do safely for myself, for my mental health, for my physical health, for my financial health. I am done. And so I leave without any guilt because I don't leave things on the table in a job, in a relationship, in a service event, any kind of thing. Like I'm going to fundraise and get money from everybody I can until I am done. When I know I cannot go back to the well. I am going to stay and clean up and do whatever I can from start to finish until I am done because I no longer have the time or energy, or I have to be up in the morning, or I have another thing to do. I'm going to prepare whatever thing I can for my job in a way that I know is like everything that I can do to prevent something, to add something, to grow something until I am done. And if somebody else needs to pick up and do their part of the job because I am done. In a relationship, I've given everything I can. I've expended every asset I have, every emotional asset I have, every venture I can to like make it work, make it, be something better, be what it can be until I have it, and then I'm done. So I think for me, it is the fact that I rest in the fact that I am a person who gives, like I'm going to give 110%. I'm a person who is going to assume some responsibility for the failure of it, for the success of it. And then when I assume the failure, the responsibility for something that's not going well, I take control of it. And so for that means I can do more. What else can I do? And I search every time before I walk away from something. So when I walk away, it is because I am truly done. I've done what I can do. And I've drawn this line. I draw I draw a line in the sand really quickly, just because I
That's
know
that's not true. That's not true. Not true. Not true. You do not draw a line in the sand quickly. You draw lines in concrete because again, a wave will come through, or you could change that. But once I have seen you, so like I don't want you to dissuade you. I don't want you to disillusion these people and think they might be chances because it's in sand. Okay, this is granite. It's how it's gonna be.
When I say I'm done,
yes. But that's the thing. Like it sounds like one of the biggest things. So on the networking and developing your tribe, it is really authentically leading with, I want to help people. I want to serve. I'm gonna do that. And if I meet y'all along the way, cool.
Exactly. And if I don't, cool.
but on the other side about these boundaries, though, the thing that again, I keep forgetting, you don't realize how brilliant you are. You start with what's healthy for you. But I think that is, and specifically for my girls, like I want them to really understand that the reason that you're able to say I've given enough is because you've identified what resources you need for you first.
I have to give.
No. What resources you need for you first, then you inventory, because I've seen you do this. Then you inventory what you have to give and say, this is for you. When you finish with this, we're done. But you're not getting in a mind. And that, I think, is one of the ways that I've seen you engage that really changes the dynamic, which is different from a lot of people. Because a lot of people, they don't reserve for them first. And so what they can give, they don't know how much they need. So they just, and like my friend, she ends up giving everything out.
And they take leftovers for themselves.
No, they don't. And one of the things that I will say, and this is one of the primary reasons that I wanted to do this, is watching many of my friends try to be superwoman for everybody, and end up like one of them. She had to do something for her son, and he was dragging on and blah 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 and did all this, and then when it came to it, he got some money, and she like when I tell you she covered a lot of his stuff, he got some money from like some tax or whatever, and like went out and blew it and blah, 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 and like literally knew that she had sacrificed to get him to where he was. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I say in many of those situations is that the only thing, because you didn't reserve for yourself first or identify what your needs are, the only thing that I have seen many Black women absolutely clear on that they are able to meet somebody else's needs. And in a lot of those times, there's nobody else offering reciprocity. It is this idea, if I give you enough, then I'll be worthy of you giving me back, because everybody has already told me that I'm not. Yeah. So I realized that wasn't like an actual question, it's just me talking, but tell me what you think.
Well, that's the thing, is like they've heard that and they've listened to it, and it is a prevailing out here in the world, in the ethers, in every space, is that they're being told they're not enough, you don't know enough, let me tell you what to do, let me tell you what to give, you need to be this to your family, this to your whatever, this to your spouse, this to your job, and it's just not true. And there is a way that you can take for yourself first. You can decide how much you're going to give to everybody else and be okay with it. Because you, in fact, cannot do anything for anybody if you have nothing to give. I want to be able to give to people. I want to be able to give, to service, to the community, to my friends, to my family, to my job. But I have to have enough to keep going. So I make that measurement first. Like, what do I need to keep going? And it has to come from me, because I can't depend on anybody else to provide that. And it's honestly not fair.
I love you so much. This is why I love you so much. Because I literally just wrote down the opinions of others. I was like, we're going to get to that. But then you was like, I see what he's writing. I'm going to just go ahead and jump ahead. So, but that's what I think one of the differences with you is that for a lot of people, they are, if we look at it, because I love metaphor. So let's use finance as a metaphor. Like for a lot of people, they have not reserved the assets or have the income to support themselves. So what they do emotionally, they have not been taught. They have been taught they have been abused, real talk. Like the relationship between Black women in the United States across the board is one of abuse. Just so we're gonna touch on that a little later. But what happens is that I've seen that people use the opinions of others like credit. It's like, I don't got enough money to buy my own house, but let me borrow some from you. You pretty. Thank you. Okay. Oh, you're smart. Thank you. And it's like, you were that before he said it. You were that before she said it. Like, and that's what I tell people. It's like, well, oh, you know what? You were right. Okay. It's like, I don't need, you said, I was right before you said it. This is just about your wisdom. Now you understand how right I am. So now I can feel more comfortable doing work with you.
And this is why you and I are friends. Because I'm like, oh, you're so smart. And you're like, yes. And you say, oh, you're so smart. Yes. Yeah. That is the answer. Yes.
But watch what happens. And I've had this happen with Black women as well, where they'll say, oh my God, you're so smart. And I go, yeah, I am. And they go like, yeah, you all like.
Listen, if your goddaughters don't learn anything else, this is what I try to teach Black women, Black girls, and Black women that they're my friends today. I have to correct them and bring them in. Learn how to accept thank yous for your compliments. If I hear another Black woman, if I say, oh my gosh, your hair is so pretty. Oh girl, I didn't even have time. Thank you. That's it. Ma'am, ma'am, your house is so beautiful. Oh, it was so dirty. I want to. There's no explanation, because for me, it is a thank you. I had a man, I don't know, probably last year or so, give me a compliment out somewhere. And he was like, oh, you're beautiful, wherever he said, oh, thank you. And just kind of kept going. He was like, you know what? Thank you. Because I wasn't hitting on you. I was just telling you, I think you're a beautiful woman. I want to say it. I say, right, you have good eyesight. Right. Thank you.
I am.
Yes, I am. That's the answer. And if there's nothing else, I want women to take from that, because that turns into something else. That understanding of your own confidence and your own beauty and your own worth, it snowballs. And it looks like cocky to some people. It looks like arrogant. But to people who understand it, it does not.
And also be careful when it's not really yours. Because game recognizes game. And when you don't look like you related, it's like, oh, you wearing somebody else's clothes. You don't even know how to walk in them.
Imposter syndrome is real in Black women.
And some of it has, my opinion, some of it anchors into these lessons that keep getting learned, and the habits that we don't get an opportunity to break. If you are always in a situation where you are always the giver, well, you ain't never gonna get, because it won't work that way. Like, I don't understand.
Listen, we Black women overgive. Like, we're giving when people are not asking. Like, why are you giving so much? They didn't ask for them. They asked for a nickel. Why'd you give them a dime? They asked for one thing. Why are you doing 5 extra pages?
Oh, you know why? My opinion why is because the credit line. I don't have enough for me. So if I can get you to love me, if I can get you to tell me how good I am, because I don't believe it and I don't fit there. And one of the reasons I love the fact that you are here is that you don't do that. Like, one other thing too, about the question about the spontaneous comment. Please always recognize your beauty, because that is a question that predators use, because it gives them an opportunity to assess your vulnerability.
Exactly. Yes. And for me, I think that there's something I've always noticed, and I was like, Black women do not know how to take a compliment. They don't go for anything, that they have imposter syndrome. They feel like they don't have what it takes to do things. Like, honestly, God grant me the confidence of a mediocre white man is a real prayer. You hear me?
Yeah,
so I work with that community, and for them, I don't care who you are. I am in the room with you. So who are you?
Right. The ability to walk into a room and not have to try to figure out where your place is. I'm here.
I am here because I was invited. I'm here, and there's a part you need something I have. When I walk into Capitol Hill, we haven't been on the Hill in a very long time, and I don't really lobby as much as I used to, because I'm just doing a different type of job now. But I can't tell you how many times when I was corresponding, with congressmen or Senate staff, and we're doing email, and they see my name, which looks very racially
Caucasian, it's white. It looks white.
It's real white.
I was trying to figure out why this white girl was coming to the Urban League. I didn't understand it. But we love everybody. Come on.
They're talking to me, and they email me, and they're like, "Oh, this is great." And when I walk in, Stephanie, I was like, "Yes." It's constant. It is a constant thing. And for me, it became very obvious. And I had, many conversations with your sister and my delegate for the state of Maryland, because we were all on the Hill at the same time back in like 2014 and 15. And it was constant because we all have very, very white names, even French names,
Yes.
all very white names. So it was all the same thing. And we had so many conversations about it. And it's like, I am in the room with you. So there is no looking down on me, because I am here because you need what I have. And it's that kind of attitude that, again, it may feel cocky, but once you settle into understanding your power, like your worth, you have something that they need. For me, it's been so many times, and I tell you, there are times when I just apply for fun for things. I was almost the city manager of Madison, Wisconsin. I kid you not. I kid you not. Because sometimes I just test my own worth out in the world. So I just apply for jobs. I keep my skills sharp. And it's something that just Black women just don't do. Every time I say it to Black women, they're like, what? You do? I'm like, what? I just update my resume. I go find, some description, update it, and I just apply for something, knowing I may meet 40% of the skills. Don't matter to me. And I cannot tell you how many times I've had to decline jobs that I had no intention of taking, but I wanted to test it. And anytime I see, I don't care if there are 7 requirements. I tell Black women all the time, if you meet 3, let them tell you no. You have to tell me no.
So one of the things that I have seen, and I know, this is the other problem with talking to you. You one of them people that we get talking and it's like, oh, like tomorrow. I remember looking at my one period of time, I was looking through my phone log at like the amount of hours that you and I spent on the phone. I was like, yeah, that's
it was necessary. That was a check-in. It was like, no, this is
but that's what I want to talk about, is like some of this stuff. Like every time you're talking about your engagement in these challenges, one of the unique features to each one is that there's a tribe of women around you. You have found your tribe. You're talking about the challenges on the Hill. Boom. These other 2 women, we was there holding each other down. About stuff in FAM, stuff in the Urban League, even the way you show up and engage in the streets. It really is about having genuine and authentic relationships with people. And so the I would say the last thing, I'm lying. If because when my shows go viral, when I become a megastar, people can come back to this episode and go like, okay, this is about Black women. Let me learn something. And this Jerger woman, he had a gay. Had a gay. That was Stephanie had a gay. So when they're coming to look, because we already talked to the aliens, and now they're like, okay, so you explained this whole Black woman thing for a while, and now what can we do to help ease the engagement for Black women? Because the rest of us are not Black women. No. The rest of us, we have no idea what it is like. Sadly, many of us think we do. And there are some of us who want to help. But I also know that sometimes good-meaning folks end up messing things up worse. So give us some guidance. What can we do to from your perspective, to help Black women?
You know what? You can do the thing that you and I have said a million times about anybody who says, I want to help your group. Listen to them. Don't come to save us with what you think we need. Listen to Black women. Black women are, the mortality rate for pregnancy in hospital is high, in resignations, in fire, and an unemployment gap, the wealth gap, because no one is listening to the fact that this is happening. No matter how much the data says, no one listens to the fact that we're telling you these things, and we have for years. Luckily, data is coming around now and people are paying a little bit more attention, but we've been saying it for years. Don't tell us this is not happening, because it is happening. Don't tell us that we're not being ignored and not being protected, because Black women are being shot in the streets, in their homes, and there's no justice. Like, it's happening. Yes. Listen to us when we tell you what we need, because we're in it. We are there. And don't get so bogged down in the cultural passions of women, where that anytime our voice escalates to this level, we're able to this simple passion, because no one does that when Nancy Pelosi does it. No one does it. No, it's passion then. But for us,
or all of Trump, like any part of that,
and any white man, period. But listen to us when we tell you we need safe spaces. because we feel like we don't. And I'm telling you, that's why, again, we create them for each other, because we understand people are not going to listen to us. We're going to be the subject of, even if we're the victim, we're going to be the criminal. Even if we're, the protagonist, we're gonna be the antagonist. And it's that walking contradiction, and it's how we've learned to function in the world. But if people truly want to help, then you listen to us. Don't try to group us together with all women, all people of color, because we're not. It's not the same. I will tell you a million times. I sympathize with any group's mission, any group's plight, but I am not anti anything. I am pro Black, because I understand that is a different experience. I will tell you, I can't see a lot of examples where Asian and Latino women have run to the aid of Black people in the way that Black people run to the aid of everybody. So listen to us when we tell you, because honestly, if you lift us up, everyone will elevate. It will, because we truly carry the burdens of everyone with us. But no one seems to listen to what our plight is. So that would be my advice. Just listen to what we say. Believe us. Believe us when we tell you we're in pain. Believe us when we tell you we're tired. Believe us when we tell you that we're doing everything we possibly can to save. We can't do it and feed our children. Believe us when we tell you that we don't understand what's happening in our house and in our heads, and there's something wrong with us. We can't put it out. Don't just give us a pill. Don't just diagnose them with something. Listen to them, because I think it's so. There's a gambit. There's a wide array of places where Black women lack real support. They really do. And I'm a very introspective person, and that protects my mental health. But I had to build that because I felt like no one was listening to me. So I was listening to myself. No problem. I'm gonna listen to me, and that's how I built that fortitude up. But it was a process. And for people who have not been able to do that, they continue to suffer and struggle out with imposter syndrome and wealth gaps, and like challenging with their family life and their work life and their balance, because people are not listening to them. They say, oh, you got it. And I'll tell you, there's one thing I'm never going to be a proponent of, and that is a strong Black woman archetype. I don't buy into it. I am not strong. Let a man be in the room. My wrists are broke. Take care of me. I'm not, because no one comes to the aid of strong things. And we need aid. We need help and support. So no, like that archetype is built just so you can continue to break the backs of Black women. I've never heard of a strong Latino woman. Never heard of a strong Asian woman. I don't want to be one. I'm good. You can help me. You can support me. You can advocate for me. And I think that's what I would have people do.
That was about as mic drop as we can get. I ain't even got nothing to add on that. Like, it's my whole show, and I'm like, all right, then it's time to wrap this joint up. But I am grateful to you as always for coming and sharing this with everyone. So if they want to develop natural and genuine relationships with Stephanie Jerger, how can they reach you? How can they contact you?
They can always reach me at my work email. I am always available. That is sjerger, Jerger, at OTA.com. And I can formulate any kind of community contacts from that as well. Again, I'm working on several. I've honestly become the voice for racial equity in organic agriculture, because I am the only Black executive. I am the only Black person leading all the Jedi movements. There's several, but I'm the only Black person doing it. I'm actually on a panel in LA next week on the human and planetary benefits of diversifying organic, and also doing some prospecting out there. There are so many Black women, because Black women will start a business quicker than anybody else. They don't mind doing it, but they have not been able to tap into the resource about the economic benefits of being organic, just because it's very incestuous, and I'm trying to really blow the doors off of that industry. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and Black women and Black farmers, are Black businesses, Black retailers are left out. And I think that they don't even think about going organic. They don't think about taking the next step, because it is a process, and they've made it hard by design. So I am working very hard with USDA and Congress, and against them both. I don't care, whatever day it is, it depends on what it is, to create more opportunity in those spaces for Black and brown farmers and retailers and businesses. Because you don't think about it, but you have Black hair products, Black body products, We have all that, and all of those things can be organic. And there's a monetary benefit to
Mm-hmm.
those kind of certifications and getting into stores like Whole Foods and Mom's. Giant's great, but Whole Foods is going to mark it up even more. There's a benefit to be, to having that access, and I'm trying to create access for more people who want to get into that industry, because Black people, as usual, are very into their health and wellness, but there has not been anyone talking to them from the organic community. So I'm really working to, kind of build those relationships and build trust, and say
Mm-hmm.
that they kind of have the right path now. I have them listening to me. While I have them listening, let me get everybody in that I can.
Cool in the gang. Oh my gosh, it was man. Listen, I have had a wonderful time, and this is exactly what I hoped it would be, and I am very grateful for you, to you, for sharing your story with my goddaughters.
Thank you very much, William. It's always a pleasure.
It always is. And you know what? I really do appreciate your professional voice. Like it's been a long time since we've actually been someplace and you've used that the whole time. I'm like, wow, this
Listen,
is
I
soothing.
have to be on. I'm
Yeah, yeah,
on.
this is it. Cause like I remember, like this is really soothing. It makes me like the whole time I'm like, oh, I'm calm now. Like this is odd. Ah, it's the soothing voice. Okay, I get it.
It is.
All right, love. I will talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Of course, we had a wonderful time talking to one of my best friends, Stephanie Jerger. It's Stephanie Jerger from the Organic Trade Association. Um, we're coming and we're going to continue to do this for the rest of March. I am so grateful that I know such dope women. And we will be Black next week.